class now, but as I said, I highly recommend you do this when you work on the capstone project. Yeah.
The 9 business model building blocks of the business model canvas are the elements you have control over. You decide which customers you're targeting, what you're offering them, how you're reaching them, and what resources and activities you need to achieve that. These decisions are part of the business model design process. Of course, no business model is designed in a vacuum. It is designed in an environment, a business model design environment. There will be competitors which have their own business models with strengths and weaknesses. Your customers' needs, jobs, and desires will change over time. Technology trends and legal trends will create opportunities and constraints for your business model. The overall state of the economy, the availability of capital and skilled people might influence the feasibility of your business model. Understanding the business model environment will enable you to design better business models. Competitors are usually a threat to your model. A technology trend can be an opportunity or a threat. The legal context is a design constraint. Ever-changing customer needs must be discovered and addressed. Macroeconomic forces will affect costs, revenues, and more. Masters of business model design understand that it is a continuous dance between adaptations and reconfigurations of the 9 building blocks and the never-ending changes of the business model design environment. How will you adapt to yours?
So actually we see one more application how we can use business model canvas. It's for like regular checkup of the health of your business. Yes, so maybe if you run a strategic session, you may use this card deck to like brainstorm. Yeah, and we'll have some more activities now. So you mentioned the blue ocean strategy early on. So actually we can combine the Strategizer toolkit with the canvas and Blue Ocean strategy. They also have like their own frameworks if you are interested to learn more frameworks, but I doubt that. So there is some way to kind of combine these two. I'm trying to find the right video. Yeah, the 4 actions framework, which is a part of the Ocean strategy. So let's first have a look at the example of Sony business model, and then learn about the Blue Ocean approach.
So let's sketch out the business model of the Sony PlayStation 2. And we'll start basically with the box, the Sony PlayStation 2, which is at the center of their business model. So who does Sony target with this box? Basically, they target hardcore gamers around the world. The question you want to ask is, what attracts these gamers to this box? Then you'll have the value proposition. So, first of all, gamers are interested in the quality and the number of the games. An important part of the quality of the games are the graphics. So gamers want great graphics because that gives you a realistic game. Now what does Sony have to do to provide great graphics? Well, they need the best processor in the world in this box, so the fastest speed, so the games are most realistic. How does Sony sell these boxes? Basically through retail, and they earn money from console sales. But what you want to know is that Sony loses money on every box. Why? Because they subsidize each box and lose money on them. Now why would they do that? Because they earn money from a different revenue stream, which are the game developers. Now what do they earn money from? And what attracts the game developers to this box? Well, basically it's the number of gamers that the game developers can sell to, which means that this is a key resource for Sony to offer these games. And the revenue stream are licensing fees from the game developers for each individual game sold. That's what makes Sony the money. Now, this is the value they create. Now we need to ask ourselves, what does Sony need to do to offer offer this? So first of all, they need to have a great brand, which is basically marketing costs and marketing activities. And as you know, Sony sponsors the UEFA Champions League. Now what else do they need to do? Manufacturing, another main cost here. And here's where it gets really important. In order to create this great box with the fastest processor, with the best graphics, Sony needs to do a lot of R&D. And they didn't do this alone. They did this in a partnership with IBM, which is a very expensive partnership, but the whole industry here competes on the fastest processor in the world. So here you have the business model of the Sony PlayStation 2. Voila.
So this is similar with Nespresso, right? When they are not like trying to make money. So because there is a different revenue stream.
Kindle is also an example. It's very cheap.
Yeah, so now let's see how we can apply the Blosher strategy for business model innovation, and we'll like keep the PlayStation example in mind because we'll use it later on for this exercise. Oops. I started to hate this button.
Okay, let's see how we can use a 4-action framework for creating a new value proposition or a new business model or improving an existing one. The 4-action framework has been proposed by Chan Kim and René Montbard in their work Blue Ocean Strategy. In this framework, we have 4 kinds of action. The first one is create. You can create new features of your value proposition or new components of your business model that the industry has never created before. The second kind of action is raise. You can raise some existing features or some existing component above the industry standards, but stronger. The third kind of actions are you can eliminate features or you can eliminate components of your business model. Eliminate factors that the industry has taken for granted before. And finally, the last kind of action is you can reduce some features or you can reduce some component below the industry standards. This is the 4-action framework that we will illustrate with the We business model.
Maybe now let's have a small discussion of how this framework is being used by you for car sharing service, or how you can use it for car sharing service. So what did you add new to the industry? What did you eliminate? What did you reuse or raise?
We added the customer segment, the business, because currently we, as far as we know, this company is not cooperating with businesses. It's only offering services to individuals. So if I understand the question.
Yeah. So
we can also increase the area where this company operates, because the existing only car sharing company in Kiev just operates in very limited area of the city, basically mostly in the downtown, so we could also make the area wider.
But they are like talking mostly about the industry, yes? So maybe something new to the industry, not a specific competitor, but the industry.
But industry like renting, car rent, an industry?
Yeah.
I think it will not be the first company, but as Anya proposed, we could also look into the possibility of buying electric cars and having also electric filling, how do you call them, electric filling stations. Yeah, for these cars, which could also work for other cars, not just for this, for our company's cars.
Okay, let's try to understand how this framework works. This is the example, the number one example for blue ocean strategy. What is it? What is the most popular example of blue ocean strategy in the world? Or any example that you know? Huh?
Facebook.
No,
Netflix.
no.
No.
Cirque du Soleil. It's a very famous example of blue
Yes,
ocean
in
strategy.
that book, yeah.
Yeah, so what did they get rid of?
Animals?
Animals, right. So they get rid of animals because in circus, everywhere, in traditional circus, you would have animals, yes? And what is wrong with animals, or what is hard with animals? How they explain?
Transport to.
Yes, it's very expensive, like to move all the animals and elephants. Yes, so
Feed
it's
them.
It's also social, a lot of protests against using
Mhm.
animals.
one more reason now.
And also they added like this show to the
Mhm.
circus shows.
Well, so what is maybe new, yes, to the industry, that the circus usually was targeting children, yes?
Yeah.
And they are targeting all ages, yes? So their shows are attracting adults the same way as children. It's interesting for them.
They have this bright costumes, not like before, like for.
So maybe what you say about the show is what they raised, yes? So maybe it was not the way, the same like level of shows, so it's very technological and nice shows, yes? So
Yeah, yeah.
this is an example. Let's see how this is demonstrated for the PlayStation.
Nintendo.
Nintendo.
I think in this podcast yesterday,
Mhm.
did they talk about Nintendo? Or?
I don't know. You are the only one who listens.
I also listen.
So,
But I don't remember where I heard
With
it.
the use of the 4-action framework with the Nintendo Wii. First, they have created a new kind of customers, what they call the casual gamers, or the family gamers if you want. And so it means that they were able to eliminate one kind of customer, the hardcore gamers, which were the main customers for the competitors at that time. When they have introduced this new kind of customers, it means that they were able to simplify the device. They were able to reduce the processing speed, reduce the graphic facility, and they have created a new device, a new features in their value proposition, if you want, which was the remote control based on the gesture. So it means that they were able to increase the simplicity of the gaming activity. They have also increased the fun factor, especially interesting for the family, grandmother, for example, playing with the grandchildren. By the way, they also have reduced or even eliminate the cords because it's a remote station. And with this kind of things, they were able to suppress the subsidies that the other competitors had to give to the gaming consoles. And because of this simplicity, they were able to reduce the research and development activity, reduce the cost, okay, because less subsidized, much simpler to produce, and finally, it has, as a result, the possibility to increase very significantly the revenues. It's how we have used the 4-action framework for describing the different actions that we could use for going from one old business model to the new one that they have adopted a couple of years ago.
So again, when you will be designing the ideas for the business models for your capstone project, maybe you want to keep this in mind and ask yourself these 4 questions. Yes, or maybe it's going to be a more like difficult task for you because you are already kind of competing with more like technologically and innovative businesses. So it's not like you are trying to disrupt a very traditional industry, yes? But still, I think you can get some inspiration from this. And one more example of applying this is coming from a hotel industry. So we hear constantly that the industry was disrupted by Airbnb, but it's not only Airbnb. You can also have more examples. Have you ever heard about the Citizen M hotels or stayed in there? Also, I did, and it's an interesting example. It's a very interesting customer experience. Well, actually, I think now you have more examples like Citizen M hotels. Let's see, and maybe you will recognize one of the hotels you stayed in this model, and we can discuss it.
Let's explore another interesting example of the Blue Ocean strategy. It's the example of Citizen M, a hotel chain created by Ratan Chara and Michael Levy. They focus on a very particular customer segment, the mobile citizens of the world. These are culture seekers, professionals, explorers, shoppers, people who would visit a city for 1 or 2 days. Citizen M does a couple of things differently. Let's explore that with the 4 actions framework. They eliminate some of the most costly things of the value proposition of a high-end hotel: the kitchen, the table-seated restaurants, the fitness area, the wet areas, and the spa. Why would they do that? Not because the mobile citizens don't value this, but because these are very expensive aspects of the value proposition of the hotel, so they take them away. Similarly, they reduce the room space, very expensive. And as a customer, you get a lower price, which is your advantage. They reduce some of the more painful processes of the hotel experience, which is the check-in process. And they take away some of the services that the mobile citizen might not need. On the other hand, they raise a couple of aspects of the value proposition. They focus on very good bed and pillows, and they create soundproof rooms. And if you're coming back from going out in Amsterdam, there's a 24/7 bar and kiosk where you can find good sushi and a selection of beers. Now, what do they create? This is not very, very special, but they create some of the things that should be mandatory in the hotel experience. Free Wi-Fi. Who doesn't want free Wi-Fi who's a frequent traveler? Now, let's look at this visually. What are some of the aspects that Citizen M has done? We saw the self-service check-in terminals. Well, they make it very simple for you to check in with your credit card. And if you have an issue, well, there's a staff that will come and help you, because they have an all-round staff that can help you with all the problems that you might have. Their only mandate, in fact, is to make you a happy customer. There's a self-service food and beverage area, pretty high-end, where you get good sushi and a selection of beers, and of course, a great espresso. They create a living room atmosphere at the bottom of the hotel. In a partnership with Vitra, they equip the lobby with design furniture. Now, you will understand why they do this, because the rooms are actually the European version of a Japanese pod hotel. They're small, functional, but high-tech. So, when I say small, I mean small. It's 14 square meters. This is your view when you sit on the bed. This is your view when you come in the door. So, pretty small, but pretty functional. And they give it a high-tech touch. In a partnership with Philips, you can actually use this remote control to steer your room. Now, the rooms are prefab and standardized, and this is where it gets very interesting in their business model. They completely changed the backstage of the business model of the hotel. They, in fact, have a room factory. The rooms that you will see in a Citizen M hotel are all manufactured and then put together to a hotel. So this dramatically reduces the construction costs. Now let's look at the business model of Citizen M. They focus on the mobile citizens globally, and they offer them what they call affordable luxury. I would say it's, in particular, a very, very, very good quality-price ratio. They sell the rooms mainly through the internet, much higher rate than anything else in the industry, and they have a very, very service-oriented staff. In fact, the staff is an all-round staff. With 5 people, they can run an entire hotel. So the revenue streams are very traditional, but they have higher revenues per room than the traditional industry standard. And where it gets very interesting, as we've seen before, is the backstage of the business model. They have a room factory, where they prefab all the rooms, which dramatically lowers the costs. And all they have to do, because they outsource the logistics and the supplies, is the operations management of the hotel. So they can run a hotel with over 200 rooms with only 5 staff. That's pretty impressive and much better than anything else in the industry. In particularly, it's impressive because they get very, very high service ratings. So the backstage of the business model results in dramatically lower operations costs, dramatically lower construction costs, and dramatically lower labor costs because they have a very, very low turnover of the staff, which is also very special in this particular industry. Now, why is this business model special? Because they built a scalable organization at lower costs and with more features that create value and less features that are very costly. So here you have a business model with lower costs and higher value for the customer.
So I would like to stop this video now and see, like, maybe you have some observations, something useful that you can apply for your projects, or something that caught your eye.
Well, it's a good idea because usually this scaling effect is very applicable in online services, because usually you have like what used to be like you need to hire a lot of staff for instance, I don't know, to communicate with each other, like, and then you have Skype, like let's say Skype, whatever, yes, app which just does it automatically. You don't need a lot of stuff to support this software, yes, and they try to apply this online digital resources when you have like very big scalability to offline businesses like hotels. So it's good, yes. So they try to reduce everything that doesn't work and just live.
Which city did you live in?
Amsterdam.
And is it cheaper than
No, it's more expensive. Actually, it's not cheaper because it's like a boutique hotel. It's
Well,
not,
so what's the point?
well, it's the value proposition.
Well, something similar, but not well, the same. Yes, okay. It's about low-cost airlines. Yes, they try to reduce everything that doesn't matter and make it for extra cost. Now we have like this in Ukrainian Airlines. They reduce even hand luggage, yes, to 1 piece. In recent
But
months.
the low-cost airlines, their cost cheaper, and the tickets they're cheaper. This one is just.
But getting back to this example, you said that on average it's much higher to pay for this.
It's not much higher, but it's not cheap.
So
I
what
just
is
say.
their value proposition? I mean, what their, for me as a customer, what I get.
Yeah, we'll get back to this
in a
now.
small cage,
Yeah.
cramped
Everything is
space, no
smaller,
staff or anything,
not
and
so
you pay more.
functional, and they claim we have free Wi-Fi.
What the hell? Every
This is a
hotel
bit
has
oldie, so
Wi-Fi.
now it's not such a big deal. Yeah, it's like it's from years ago. Okay, so a few things I would like to discuss. So first of all, you also mentioned budget airlines as an example, and I think this is something that we discussed about your idea. It's the core feature. Yes, so in their case, the core feature is getting you from point A to point B. And that's it. So for this, you don't need tea, you don't need anything. You just need to sit inside and take a flight, and that's it. Yes, so all the rest is complementary, but the key feature is getting you from point A to point B. So this is something to keep in mind in both of you, so you understand what is the key feature, and then the rest, like, you have to be really careful by adding new features. Yes, because sometimes we have these examples with all the, I don't know, cell phones. You will have too many features nobody is using, but every feature makes the product more expensive and even like can, I don't know, have a bad customer experience. So this is point number 1. So coming back to why would you want to pay like more money for this? Again, coming back to the value proposition. So I think in this case, what is important for us to learn is their approach to customer segments. Yes, so they have chosen a very particular audience. It's explorers, culture seekers, shoppers, professionals. So they are not targeting all the travelers. Yes, so they are targeting these travelers that are willing to pay for this value proposition that they create. Yes, for example, they mentioned that they created this nice space. Yes, maybe the room itself is not big, but who wants to spend time inside the room? like no one, yes? So, and if you're a frequent traveler and you travel by yourself, you still like have some need for socializing with other people.
Maybe
So you don't socialize in your room, or maybe you do, but not with many people at the same time, I guess.
one more thing is about these citizens of the world, yes. Maybe one more value is predictability, because if you go everywhere with the same hotel, you have the same standard, you have the same room, the same design, well, you know what to expect from it. It's just like, I don't
Like
know.
McDonald's.
Like McDonald's, yes. If you go to Paris, you have like dozens of restaurants, you don't know are they good or not, but you have McDonald's, you know what is it.
Yeah, but
What's so different from Ibis, for instance?
Yeah, but
Ibis is everywhere the same. I mean, what's so new in this business model?
it is the customers. Yes, for example, I'm an example of their target audience. So I don't want to stay in Ibis because for me it's faceless. It's nothing. It's not cool. Yes, this one they mentioned that they created this nice common space, but by cooperating with Vitra. Vitra is about the great design. Yes, so Citizen M, I forgot the name of the hotel network in Poland. They have a similar concept. So they have a common area. So instead of just like staying in your room, you can go downstairs and you have like a living room that they were talking about. Yes. So usually hotels don't have this. They would have just like a space, a lobby bar, where it's not cozy. It's not like a space you wanna stay or you work. But in this kind of places, like when I went to Poland, I had my laptop and things to do. So I went downstairs and they have like free tea for you and free coffee. So you can, yes, you can work using this community table and like meet similar profiles of people that would be interesting for you to communicate with. And in this Polish hotel, they also had a nice library of books on design, on travel, which is also something that I would be interested in just to like, I don't know, sit, relax and read. So in this case, I think the key, like there are two things that are the key. First is understanding the needs of this specific audience of travelers and building the space for them that they would like. So this is point number one. But point number two that they are talking about is the back end of the business. Yes. So they are using this prefab thing and they are outsourcing all the features that are not core to their business, like logistics and supplies. They are not like paying their attention to this. So that's why, because of how they build the back-end part of their business, optimized a lot of costs for them. So that's how they get the bigger profits. Okay. I don't know. I suggest you have this experience staying in this kind of hotels, and this way you will understand.
Where can you find them? Which countries?
Citizen M is definitely in.
I looked at their website.
In the
London,
Netherlands?
Paris, Netherlands, Denmark, and I think Norway, and also somewhere in Asia and in North America.
And if you Google like Citizen M like Poland, you will find if they are in most of the cities, big cities in Poland. I will look for a name.
I know that in Austria, for example, and Germany, they have Motel One, which is like,
This is good.
yeah,
They have also very standardized rooms.
yeah, everything.
And very neat.
And they have great TVs. They have loyal TV everywhere, and it's really cool.
And this video doesn't show the whole like customer experience you get, because maybe now it's not so different because there are more hotels and like traditional hotel chains are using some of the features that were developed by Citizen M. So when they launched, it was really something new that was not common to the industry. So this check-in, so they are optimizing their costs and it's quicker for you to check in by yourself. But again, many years ago for the customer it was a great experience, yes, because the whole like process of checking in would never be a nice experience you would have in a hotel. Yeah, you just stay in line and the lady gives you the key and that's it. But now it's like gamified experience, so it's cool. But then when you get inside the room, it's also all digitalized. So they have iPads, so you can control the whole room by just one iPad, like with changing the lights and I don't know, turning on and off the TV and stuff like this. So it was cool in a technological way as well. So it was a special customer experience you received. Okay, anyway, I think there is something you can learn from the example also. And well, I was talking about the technological trends, different technological things that are creating interesting customer experience. And in the previous video, when we discussed the environment of the business model, technology was also one of the things you should analyze. And as they mentioned, so it can be also a threat and an opportunity, but we know that many innovations are possible now because of technology. Yes, so many years ago, we had, I don't know, GPS by maps, but then we had some special devices for digital maps. But now, because of technology development, we don't need this because we have it all in our cell phones. And if technology would not develop to this extent, we would not have Uber and other services. So technology is important in business innovations, but we have to remember that it should be customer-centered, not technology-centered first. Yes. So remember when we started the class, we were drawing this picture of innovation. So it was a sweet spot. So on one side you had customer needs, second you had technology which enable these solutions, and third the business side, the success story for business, how you make money out of this. So the intersection of all these three circles were innovations. So in this case, the point is that technology should not be technology-driven only innovations. Yes, you have to start with the customer needs. Let's see the
In this activity, we're going to learn why it's not enough anymore to focus on products and technology alone. We're going to look at two examples, Xerox and Google. And to do so, I'm going to take you into the Strategize with Business Model time machine. We're going to travel back in time, all the way back to 1958. Now I'm going to introduce you to the story of Chester Carlson. I learned about Chester Carlson from Henry Chesbrough, who teaches at Berkeley and coined the term open innovation. So Chester Carlson was head of a research team at a company called Halloween, which later became Xerox. And they invented the first modern-day photocopying machine, a machine that could make 2,000 copies a day at a time where you could make only about 20 to 30 with a smelly chemical process. The problem was this technology was 7 to 8 times more expensive than anything that existed then. So what do you do with a technology like this? Xerox went to the consultants and they asked them what to do. The consultants went out, did a market research, and asked if anybody would buy this technology. Well, they came back and broke the news that nobody would want this specific technology. So what did Halloween Xerox do? They went back to the drawing board and they came up with a different business model. And they said, well, we can't sell this, but we can do something else. We're going to lease this photocopying machine with monthly leasing to corporations. And we're going to ask for a $95 monthly leasing fee, $95 monthly leasing fee, and people will get 2,000 copies per month for free. And here's where it gets interesting. But then they said, well, if you copy more than 2,000 times a month, you're going to have to pay a tiny small fee, $0.04 per copy for each photocopy. And here's what happened. People didn't photocopy 2,000 times a month. They photocopied 2,000 times a day. So Xerox would earn from day 2 onwards from the photocopies. And they would earn from service and support fees. And that's what got Xerox to grow in an incredible rate over the next decades. And that's what transformed or even created the photocopying industry. Now let's go back into the time machine and travel to 1997. So what happened in 1997? I'd like you to learn about this story, which you probably already know. The story of Larry Page and Sergey Brin. They invented, as we all know, or popularized the first modern-day search engine. They created Google. Now what's special about Google? Google is free. So how do you earn money from free? Did Larry Page and Sergey Brin ever earn money from free? You guys, we all know the story. So here's what they did exactly. They changed the business model. They created a business model that would allow them to earn money from free. They had great search algorithms, which allowed them to offer free search finding to users around the world. It was the best search engine of the time. Now, you can't ask people to pay for search, so search is free. So they had to come up with a better business model, and here's what they did. They started offering targeted search ads and a global audience access to these people, to advertisers. And they wouldn't just sell these ads, they would do something very intelligent. They would auction off the search terms. And that's what turned Google into a very successful company. 2012 revenues were over 15 billion and 10 billion of net income. So, what's similar between these two examples is that product and technology innovation was important, but it was not enough. So great products and technology are essential, but they are just not enough anymore. So how much time and energy are you spending on enabling business models?
We are spending a lot of time. So let's think of any other ideas you have about premium business model around you in your life.
Premium
Yes, where do you see it most?
in game development.
Explain.
Game development?
Mhm.
Well, in game development, now premium model is changing. Well, it used to be like you play like 10 levels of the game for free, then next 10 levels you pay the money for this. Currently they changed it to free-to-play model, when you can play all the levels for free. But if you would like to add some features to beat the competitors, you better to pay some, like, I don't know, the dice game match, I don't know, to beat all of them for money. This is new model, like it's from game development.
For example, Jubal, there's this website which aggregates all, how do you call them, positions,
Job sites?
yeah, job advertisements from job seekers as well as from employers, and puts them into a website. And it's not, I think, so big in Ukraine, but I know like a person who is more or less in charge there, and they're expanding into Europe and other countries of the world where they really get a lot of money from. They, of course, not. They're getting money from advertisements, also from employers. So.
Yeah.
Well, one idea but they're just starting to evolve. Well, it's like you have now subscription-based models of content provider like music, Google Music, or Apple Music. You have like movies on Netflix, so and there is like one project from Ukrainian company Mac4. And now it's also copied by Google. The idea is that you have like subscription based for application. You have like plenty of paid apps on the App Store, but you can have like fixed rate of monthly fee, and you can and then you can use all of them, all the paid apps. And paid apps earn from the usage stats. Yes, so how often the user launch your app. And that is how they pay to the app developers. I don't know how they are successful. Well, at least they try to do this for Mac, and Google tried to do it right now. Is going to experiment this on the Google Play Store. That's one idea. Just not to pay every time just for app you don't know if you want to use, but you just have like fixed rate, and then you can use everything that's on the store.
I heard that in Canada, car selling companies maybe even 10 years ago started lease cars to consumers instead of selling for cash money. The lease and that model assumed that 3 years they pay high monthly payments and 4 years subsequent 4 years lower payments. And in 7 years, car becomes the property of consumer. But in 3 years,
You want a new one?
Yeah, they offer to this consumer new car and to keep high level of payments. And mostly people agree because they, in 3 years, they again have a new car that's cool, and they keep paying high payments actually forever. but they always have new cars.
Yeah, I think the premium model is like games. Yes, we see this happening, but probably software as a service is the number one example you can think of, because you have most of the like software is available for free, like even CRM and I don't know, all kinds of software. But then if you want like to use it, I don't know, you have some limited functions, yes, and if you want to use it to full extent, you have to pay. So this is an example. Okay, now we'll use one more way how to innovate a business model. It may not work for you, but we'll see, maybe it does. And this can also like at least spark creativity. So it's one of the ways you can do this, even like innovation workshops, is to like have a list, card deck of all kinds of business models. There is a book, Business Model Navigator, so they collected 55 most commonly used business models, and they describe it. So there is this book in Russian, Business Model Navigator. So what you can do, it's developed by academics from Sweden, I believe. So there is a book, but there is also a card deck. So actually you can kind of play a game, because you take a deck of cards and then you try to kind of pretend what would your business look like if you use this business model, and maybe you try ahead of another business model. And sometimes with this kind of even like fun exercise, you can come up with really interesting ideas and solutions. So now we'll try this game for a few minutes. So two groups, you will receive two business models, and you will be asked to try to apply this business model to the business model that you developed and find some interesting ideas. Okay? So I will give you, let me think which one will go to. Okay, so let's give the iPhone platform business model to car sharing, and the Nespresso that you've heard a lot about for the platform.
So we have to sort of, what do we have to
So
do?
the idea is, so you get familiar with the business model that I shared with you. So there is a business model canvas with it and a small description. So you read about it and like, you know, you are familiar with this business model. And then what you try to do is to pretend how you can transform the business idea that you have and see if there is any way it can work with this business model. Okay? So instead of the business model that you have, you try to kind of...
Extrapolate.
Yes, so this one. So let's have a few minutes to brainstorm, and then let's hear from you.
Частково це є більше машина, платформа, доступ до неї безкоштовно. Але заробляють на транзакції. Це капсули. Так. А може
Еще я добавила возможность пользователю одолжить деньги.
Кредитна спілка була. А як воно працює? Добре, а як це виглядає? Тобто Неспресо визначає гроші комусь? Ні, що ми їм визначаємо.
То есть таким образом мы продаем доступ.
Як це буде виглядати для чувака, ну, для працівника? Ми йому позичаємо 5-10 гривень, він ці 5 10 гривень за місяць.
Не свою модель, а свою ідею бізнесу. Тобто у вас є ідея, яка реалізована в бізнес-моделі. А ви замість цієї бізнес-моделі пробуєте цю ідею реалізувати в своїй бізнес-моделі.
Ну, так, ми записали, що реклама. До речі, ви можете через аудіо
Деньги сразу приедут в поезд.
Сразу выдумали новую.
Чтобы тебя пошли.
Да,
Ты как бы не подаешь такие стратегии.
Я би хотів, щоб дітей була максимально залежна від того, якщо ти то тебе щоб швидше показувати, у тебе 5 зірочок, так, і то має бути опція, щоб подивитися відгуки.
Ця модель з цієї книжки, так? Що ви казали, кому
Ні. Ну, вона як в цій книжці теж є.
Заказ приходит на одну секунду раньше, чем тему пассажирия. И это уже
Можна, знаєте,
как можно, чтобы быстро хороший заказ.
Так вам тише. Це справді було.
Це таке Airbnb.
Так, але це ти маєш сайт.
Можна робити трошки інакше. Ми кажемо,
Це інше.
якось.
Але це питання, що можна просто.
Дивіться, мовно кажучи, якщо в нас буде дуже великий розворот,
Это же как Павлоблакар.
Ні, ну похоже. Ні, ви такі карти можете
опери, так?
Ні, ну як
А можна робити аудіо, мовно кажучи, давати, ну, наприклад, я кажу, що я хочу ну, офіціанта на 16 годин. Це ми, якщо маємо багато дуже пропозицій, оферів, так? Теж офіціантів. Ми просто виставляємо тих, які ще готові заплатити нам вже відсотки ж будуть. Наприклад, якщо ми будемо мати, наприклад, 10% чи там, наприклад, 5%. Ми будемо просто їх спонукати, якщо ми кажуть, що ми знімали рейти зарплатні, якщо великі будуть.
Ні, не так виходить.
Є куча людей з дешевими автомобілями, які там коштують за копійки, ну вони ж якби мускаїти.
Ми маємо так, нас мета має мотивувати, якщо ті кажуть, що вас нічого не подається, можна знімати на 10 гривень.
Не здавати литовців, ми придумали. Це взагалі ідея, ну, тільки чим наша. Да, насправді тут треба голос польський. А це задало питання,
Можна точно
хто довірить свою машину.
Тому сказали, що вони кажуть, хлопці, ти хочеш за 200 гривень годину вимагати, але це робиш коректно, щоб працювати в цьому законі. Типа, знаєш, і ти робити збільшувати, умовно кажучи, що плати для працівників, для працедавців, а для працівників понижувати, бо вони будуть збільшувати. Тоді може бути плаваюча і 5%. Так, так. Там ти кажемо, типа, ти за 200 гривень не знайдеш роботи, але за 100 гривень
Дальше не буду ставить аналоги и антианалоги. То есть можно делать все.
Нет,
Условно говоря, продавать доступ.
але за травму не можеш.
А потом не брать деньги.
Я думаю, ти технічно собственник складний, як і
Потом
наш.
за первых 10
Можна, це можна робити зворотну сторону, можна дуже розкрутити. Просто нам треба
Насправді оркестра йде.
Які включаються в діагностичні
це працює, знаєш, тоді, коли це знаєш, яке
О, до речі, це легко, так?
я скажу,
Стандартний протокол читається прямо з діагностичного будь-якої машини одного програму. Там навіть нема.
просто такі моделі це експеримент, тут не стільки входить, тобто тут є iOS і Go. Поки не знають, ніхто не захоче платити наперед. А от, мовно кажучи, коли у нас було 10 таких самих сервісів, то ми могли, я знаєте, це дуже схожа модель в Штатах, про те, що платити, там є гуртовні, там де, мовно кажучи, автоінструмент, там де ти можеш купити будь-які товари без задітом товару, за ціною виконання. А ти платиш такі, ти платиш 2000 баксів на рік, наприклад, ти маєш карточку, це 2000 баксів, а потім приходиш і купуєш Кока-Колу, там, не знаю, пачками, в 2-3 рази дешевше, ніж супермаркет. Теоретично пішла, ну тут треба великі. Ну так, тобто ми би, наприклад, тут можна, наприклад, ну так, знаєш, не 10 тисяч, ну хай там 5 тисяч на рік, там завтра, але тут ти Кока-Колу купуєш там за 5 гривень. Це хороша модель, так, я теж думаю, ну просто це навколо, це дешевше, тут не треба.
Інші машини в інших цілях. Ну, студентські.
Наша модель. Просто тут там трошки треба більше магазин чи людина, яка розбирає.